everyone, and thank you for joining. My name is Matt Lee, and I'm a director in the Applications Unlimited sales organization at Oracle. Our team supports all of your on-premise applications, including PeopleSoft. I'd like to welcome all of our customers and partners who have joined today. In addition, I'd like to thank Mark Weintraub, Vice President of PeopleSoft Applications, for joining us, as well as thank Oracle University for providing the technical infrastructure for today's call and for helping make it possible. The PeopleSoft community is buzzing as we head in to collaborate, in large part thanks to those of you who have joined this call today and are continuing to invest in the platform. Many of our customers are broadening their PeopleSoft investments through adding functionality or upgrading to the latest release. Our team is dedicated to supporting you in that journey. Along with the PeopleSoft product strategy team, we are listening to you and your feedback by making continuous investments in PeopleSoft that are driven by customer input. And now, I'm pleased to introduce Mark Weintraub to discuss some of those investments and the exciting future of PeopleSoft. Mark?
Thank you, Matt, and thank you again to everybody who is attending, customers and partners, like Matt said, as well as the internal Oracle teams making this happen. So yeah, today is the second in our series of PeopleSoft Today webinars, and this topic is going to be on the state of applications technology. So we're going to take a little bit of a different slant than the previous webinar. We're going to talk about, sort of the magic behind the scenes, under the covers. How do we get to these latest investments? How do we get to the capabilities that are driving our customers to add more modules, to take on the new features and functions, and what's driving that within the applications itself. So that's what we'll be discussing today. I actually am going to be highlighting some very specific items that are planned for our roadmap relating to PeopleTools and other investment areas. So I'm going to spend an extra second showing you the safe harbor statement. So applications technology, this is the lifeblood of PeopleSoft, of the PeopleSoft suite. This is what makes things happen within the applications themselves. The applications are the tip of the spear, the tip of the iceberg, the visible part of the solution. It's the part that folks interact with, that delivers the feature functionality, that executes the business process. But none of it could be possible without the applications technology. And that has been the enabler for some of the most fundamental changes within PeopleSoft that we've seen over the last several years. And those changes within PeopleSoft are, in these areas of the user experience, delivering the fluid UI. This is the responsive HTML5, CSS3 rendered web pages within PeopleSoft. It's been the mechanism behind the scenes of selective adoption. This is where PUM exists. The PeopleSoft Update Manager is the actual tool that people log on to execute their selective adoption strategy, to import update images, to do the filtering and searching for particular features, to execute a make me current, to generate the change packages that then they'll apply to their applications environments to get those latest features, functions, the latest maintenance, the latest tax updates. That's all within PeopleTools itself and the applications technology layer. And then the more recent endeavor is deployment to but deployment, honestly, in a better, different, better, faster, cheaper model. And that includes deployment to the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure as a Service, and then the Cloud Manager component within applications technology that makes that happen. But it actually goes even deeper than that. It's just how we've modified the deployment and installation process and the lifecycle management, everything from using DPKs to the instantiation of search engines as part of the deployment process, like with Elasticsearch. So automating all of that and making that as seamless as possible and as streamlined as possible, these all are underpinned by applications technology. Now, one thing you will notice is I've been talking about applications technology, and sometimes that gets conflated or mixed with PeopleTools. They're not actually one and the same. PeopleTools is a big part of it, but PeopleTools has evolved to be that umbrella. Even technically, it's not the same. The PeopleTools binaries that we all know and love, the actual source code of PeopleTools, it has become that umbrella of all these other things. What I mean by that is we still have PeopleTools. We have the current release of PeopleTools, it's PeopleTools 8.5.6, and it has amazing capabilities in it. But like I mentioned, the tools and applications deployment packages, the DPKs, the lifecycle management tools, the enterprise components, whether it be for page and field configurator or building out integrations, the interaction hub itself for creating new web pages, the cloud manager. Some of these things don't even actually exist inside PeopleTools, inside that binary set of code. They're separate applications, they're separate components. So we like to try to talk about applications technology a little more broadly than PeopleTools, but we definitely understand when folks like yourselves mention PeopleTools, it is that larger umbrella. And again, like I said, applications are still built upon PeopleTools themselves. That has not changed, and that's actually a great value proposition. So those previous endeavors that we talked about, like selective adoption, like especially the modern user experience and fluid UI, because they're being built outside of being built from within PeopleSoft and within PeopleTools and being generated from PeopleTools, you don't have to go get another module or solution or deploy something else or learn a new technology. You're getting all of these new things from the existing system that you already have. So that's a fundamental guiding principle for us. We don't want to introduce disruptive change. We want to deliver value from within the tool set, the applications technology that we have. So the applications are being updated and being built on tools, and those updates happen on a regular basis, about 4 times a year for the applications. But PeopleTools still has releases every 12 to 18 months. Now, a good question to ask is, well, Mark, you just said not everything is inside PeopleTools, so therefore not everything that you're listing here, like enterprise components and cloud manager and interaction hub, come out every 12 to 18 months. Correct. Cloud Manager is actually built on an applications platform. It's just as Interaction Hub is, and Enterprise Components are part of our core application set, like Financial Supply Chain and HCM. So those are getting updates on a quarterly basis as well, or sometimes more frequently, and sometimes maybe less frequently. So that's still a great value proposition for our customers, because things like Cloud Manager, for example, that's a rapidly changing environment, so we're able to enhance that solution more rapidly than 12 to 18 months. Before I get any further, because I know that this question will come up, when we start talking about PeopleTools and we start talking about releases, when is the next PeopleTools release? When is 8.5.7? Well, because of our revenue recognition policy, and I stopped on the safe harbor statement specifically for this reason, I cannot give you a specific date. But I can tell you that Tools 8.5.6 came out in the middle, in June of 2017. I can also tell you that our track record of delivering new tools releases every 12 to 18 months is something that we are sticking with and we are on track for. So I think all of you know how a calendar works and can go count the months and get a good idea of when the next tools release is going to be coming out. So let's look at what applications technology is trying to accomplish. And again, this is delivering parts of PeopleTools, parts of other applications that are going to ultimately impact the apps themselves that the end users use. So you can see here user experience, information delivery, so analytics, insight, making better and informed decisions. The newer one, configuration without customization, without invasive, costly customizations, to be more precise. the ability for you to execute on selective adoption, which actually goes hand in hand with that configuration, not customization, and then embracing the Oracle Cloud for your deployment of PeopleSoft. So embracing the Oracle infrastructure as a service for your PeopleSoft environments. These are the areas that the technology platform, Apps Technology, is working on. So I'll start with the user experience. This is so much more than just looking pretty. It's more than just the look and feel. I will tell you, early in this process of revisiting our user experience, it definitely was born out of the feedback. The user experience is clunky. It looks outdated. And it's a simple solution to change icons, to change colors, to even change layouts, to erase all of that clunkiness and bad aesthetics. But it is more than that. To have a modern user experience, there's other components beyond the aesthetics that need to be incorporated in. And it ranges from just the pure navigation, which includes search. It includes personalization and that information delivery so folks can make those informed decisions. It includes mobility. So, where do we deliver mobile solutions? Where do we redesign pages? And that's where Fluid UI really comes in, because delivering a responsive solution, a solution that can work on any form factor, a solution that, the same PeopleSoft page can be optimized for a smartphone using Android, to a tablet using iOS, to a desktop using a Windows operating system. The application PeopleSoft in using Fluid UI, it doesn't care. It's laid out the pages accordingly to these different form factors, and that's being generated out of PeopleSoft itself. So that's a big part of what we're doing and what we have done through the applications technology. But we have and had this challenge of the styling of pages. We're coming full circle, so to speak, to this look and feel. Classic pages, as we call them, and Fluid UI pages coexisting. That was intended. That is what we want to happen, because we want that navigation process to be seamless. It's immaterial where you're going. How you get there is the more important thing. The end destination and what that looks like wasn't that important. But it still is. It still needs to be acknowledged that that's a different user experience. So Classic Plus is our answer to how do we standardize the look and feel and have one consistent user experience throughout the application. And so that's what we've executed on. So what Classic Plus is, it's a restyling of our Classic or PIA pages. The pixel-perfect pages that are generated out of PeopleTools that are not those HTML Fluid UI pages, HTML5 pages. So it's applying a new style sheet. And you can see, what does that mean? Well, it's changing the headers. It's changing layout and spacing and shading and coloring and grid controls. It's making this page, which is a classic page, navigated to through Fluid UI, making that page look like a Fluid page. Now, it truly is not a Fluid page. It is not, and where the major and really the only material difference is, it's not optimized for different mobile form factors. This is a page that works and looks great and is properly laid out on a larger form factor. But if you go try to look at this page on your smartphone, you're going to be pinching the zoom. It doesn't re-render itself for that form factor. And the intent of that is to be able to navigate around these pages and not really see a difference. So getting there, and what does this mean to our customers? Well, it's enabled through Tools 856, so that's your first requirement. We've done this within the applications. We've applied this styling to the classic pages in the update images 24 for HCM and 26 for financial supply chain, which have already been delivered in the latter part of 2017. So how a customer could get these is, and what our recommendation to customers is to, at your next planned Make Me Current, where you adopt all the maintenance that you haven't taken before, all the code changes that you haven't taken before as part of your selective adoption strategy. And we recommend, although we don't require our customers to do a Make Me Current every 2 years is what we recommend. When you do that, the next time you'll have the opportunity to turn this on or even turn this off. So it's on by default, but you can turn it off either globally or at a component level. So there's no requirement to go to Classic Plus. I ran into a customer just a couple weeks ago, and they said, yeah, we did a Make Me Current to these update images. We like the Classic. We get that it's a different user experience. We still navigate to stuff through Fluid, but we're fine. So the Classic pages will still work. The key thing here is from the application side, we're going to still deliver more and more Fluid UI pages where it makes sense. And in a later conversation, in a different PeopleSoft talk, we'll talk specifically about how do we decide where it makes sense. But these two different types of user experiences are going to exist next to each other, but it'll be more transparent which user experience you're looking at because of Classic Plus, and that's what our customers were asking for. So another part of the user experience is search. I will say and give credit to David Bain, who leads the applications technology product strategy team over here on the PeopleSoft team. A lot of this content is his, and I'm grateful that I'm able to present it, hopefully as well as he does. And I love the statement that he has in here about search. It's not should be, but it absolutely is an important and critical part of the modern user experience. Everybody on the PeopleSoft team agrees that search is paramount. The joke I use actually is you can't use the internet without a search engine. I don't really care what search engine you're using. It could be Google, it could be Bing, it could be Yahoo, but good luck trying to find a web page by just typing in URLs and bookmarking everything. It's not going to be very effective, and it's definitely going to underutilize the capabilities of what you're searching or what you should be searching, in this case the internet, in the case of PeopleSoft, the application. What we've done in PeopleSoft, and we've had a interesting journey on the search side, to say the least, we have moved to Elasticsearch. So Elasticsearch has replaced Secure Enterprise Search, SES. We did this effective where it was an option, PeopleTools 8.5.5, patch set 11. Like I said in the earlier part of this conversation, part of application technology includes the deployment of PeopleSoft. That's where the DPKs, or the deployment packages, come in. And the deployment packages give us this extra ability to incorporate other components. It could be, it could be the database, it could be the web tier, it could be the app server, and it could also include third-party search engines, and exactly what we have been doing and have done with Elasticsearch. So when you install PeopleTools through via DPKs, which is the only way to install the latest PeopleTools, you're going to get Elasticsearch automatically deployed. Another interesting thing that we did, when we went down the path of moving from Verity, the previous search engine, prior to Secure Enterprise Search, to Secure Enterprise Search, we built what we call the PeopleSoft Search Framework. And it was really to abstract out the search engine from the applications it's searching. And that came to the forefront when we moved from SES to Elasticsearch, because we're still able to leverage that search framework. And while I wouldn't say the transition was seamless or trivial, it definitely was made easier by having this search framework already built in and replacing out Secure Enterprise Search with Elasticsearch. So why did we do this? Secure Enterprise Search, SES, provided fantastic results, but getting from the let's deploy SES to those fantastic results was a Herculean effort, quite frankly. It was hard to deploy, hard to manage, hard to scale. It took a lot of resource to get it to that state of production up and running and to maintain it. And that's where Elasticsearch shines. The ability to deploy it, the scalability it has, the efficiency it has in just execution and indexing while still maintaining the same accuracy and solid results, made Elasticsearch a better decision. Now, there's also an underlying current in that, which is the support. Oracle has made the decision to not continue to invest in SCS, in that search solution. So actually, as of this month, April 2018, Oracle is moving SCS into a sustaining support. So Elasticsearch is a third-party solution, but Oracle supports it. We are never going to send you over to Elasticsearch and say, go call Elastic, or the company is called Elastic, for your Elasticsearch questions, queries, or bugs, or SRs. Oracle takes care of that. We are your one and only point of contact for Elasticsearch challenges within PeopleSoft. But going back to SCS and its support policy, it's in sustaining support. There's this misconception about support as a whole that when something moves from premier support or even extended support into sustaining support, that the solution doesn't work anymore. That's not true. If you're running SCS right now and it's working for you and you have no plans to change off of that in the immediate future, you're okay. That's fine. Now, you have to acknowledge there's an element of risk, meaning if you do encounter a bug and call Oracle about SCS, unless that bug has been previously fixed in a previous patch, you're not going to get support on that. But if it's running right now and works for you, you can keep working on it. We recommend our customers think about moving over to Elasticsearch as soon as it's convenient for them. And every once in a while, I'm going to glance over at the chat. I'm going to take care of questions at the end. 2 comments on the questions. If something looks easy to answer, I will answer it right now, such as somebody asked, is this for cloud only? No, this is for PeopleSoft, and I assume this is my second point. When you ask a question, please put it in the context of what we're looking at. When you say, is this for something, I will not be on that slide when I come back and look at your question later, so I won't know what you are asking about. But since it's the last question that was asked, I'm assuming is Elasticsearch for the cloud deployment PeopleSoft only? No, this is for any and all PeopleSoft. So that's a very good question. So that's where we are with search. Now, within the user experience realm, it's the navigation, and it's not just the navigation to different transactions, and it's the execution of those transactions itself. So activity guides is a really big part of that. Activity guides have been out for several years now and are being used in more and more areas. And they started with guided self-service within HR, and it seemed to get kind of typecast into this. Oh, it's only an HR, it's only a self-service thing, but it's actually been expanded out to multiple areas. And the one I love to pick on is, or highlight, is within financials and the managing and creating a new business unit and all the accounting rules that go with it, where activity guides are used and a series of questions are asked, and based on how you answer that, do I want to keep copy an existing business unit? Do I want to overwrite those allocation rules? Yes, no, etc. It walks you through multiple nested questions to get you to, all right, here's the information that I'm going to need from you. You said you wanted a different accounting rules or allocation rules. Now tell me what those are. So that guided process can go from casual users executing a self-service transaction all the way to back office administrators managing the accounting structure of the organization. So it's a very robust tool because it simplifies the process, because it makes people more productive, and quite frankly, it makes it a more productive process because less errors are happening. There's a lot of old transactions where people just didn't know what to do because they didn't have a PhD in the application in PeopleSoft. They didn't know exactly what accounting rules am I looking for. There wasn't a search so I can look up the new location very easily. And so people, the term I use, is just mashed on the keyboard until they were able to hit save on the transaction, and it became somebody else's problem. It became an administrator's headache to unwind that and put in the correct information to make sure the right allocations were used, the right pay group was used, etc. So now those are being reduced, and the appropriate policies are being enforced. And again, these are very configurable. This is another example of an applications technology component, the activity guide itself, and all the configurability and flexibility that we're delivering with it. You don't like the steps, you don't like the questions, you want something to be required, you can configure the activity guide to meet your specific needs. So here's my first example of something that's, again, planned for PeopleTools 857 is within notifications. So within still the realm of the user experience, this is a great characteristic of a modern user experience is this notifications. So we have the ability to get the flag, lights up, here's my notification, but we're bringing in, or we plan to bring in 857, this master detail panel. So you can see all your notifications in one place. Click on one in the master panel and get the details, and be able to go through multiple notifications very quickly instead of having to go back to the master list of notifications. So this is something that we're planning for 857. We're planning some significant changes in the analytics and insights area within plan for 857. The first one of those is might seem a little trivial, but we're collapsing the related content and simplified analytics pane into one panel. Right now, I think we're calling it related information. I wouldn't be shocked if that changes. So, but we're also given the ability to personalize and set up and configure the system so well. Which ones do I want actually as thumbnails, as little charts that I can then expand, and which ones are just links to that chart? Because one of the challenges we have, the more and more analytics you put into the page, performance can start being degraded, because all of these queries, which is the underlying enabler of this, these PS queries, all start firing when you open up the page or open up that panel. So by having some of them as maybe think of them as second tier or not critical analytics, they can be left as a hyperlink, and when I click on that, then the query would fire. So I could have some control over, well, do I have all of them fire? Probably not, because my queries might not be designed very well, and performance will be impacted versus, you know what, I only have these two as thumbnails, so that means they fire so I can actually see them, and the other ones will be links. The other thing that we have planned for 857 is what we call threshold. So this is, tying together the analytics and the notifications that I just talked about, being able to personalize and set up notifications. So when the query results hit a certain point, hit a threshold, something has been, a batch process has gone, a number of days have gone by, and this value, the balances in an account, the days overdue, the number of performance evaluations not approved hits a certain point, then notifications are going to start firing out to the appropriate people to say, listen, you've got something that you need to look at. So it doesn't have to, that's the whole point of the analytics and insight is I see something and I have to take action on it. Well, I only see it if I go into the application and go to that home page or whatever I put that analytic. Notifications extend that even further, where I can get, I'm not even in that home page, I'm not even in that transaction, and my flag lights up saying, your supplier is very, very late, go do something. So that's something planned in 857. The next one is this configuration without invasive customization. This is this double-edged sword of PeopleSoft. This is the ability to customize PeopleSoft to do exactly what you want, to rip apart the code and make it truly uniquely yours. The extensibility of PeopleSoft is a strength. The problem is, the more and more you do those invasive types of customizations and rewrite our code, the harder it is to update that end result. So our initiative here is to still allow you that ability to tailor the solution, but do it through update-safe configuration tools that will still allow you to consume updates and move the application forward. So how are we doing these? A couple of things that have already exist. event mapping. So in simplest terms, these are trigger points within people code before and after delivered events, delivered application processing that allow you to insert and execute your own custom app class, your own custom code. So the trigger points are part of the standard code. What you do when you hit that trigger point, if you exit the standard processing, that's your customization. But event mapping allows you to make your own bolt-ons, your own processing, and do that in an update-safe way without going in and rewriting our code. Our code remains pristine, so when you apply changes, do a make me current, there's no customizations, and your bolt-on, your custom app class that you're executing still points to that same event map before and after the update. Another tool, this is more of an enterprise component that we've delivered, is Page and Field Configurator. So how do I change the layout of a page? So how do I show and hide, protect, unprotect, require, optional, change the labels of fields that are already on the page without modifying the custom or modifying the standard delivered code? That is what Page and Field Configurator does. Because when somebody goes in and says, you know what, we don't call it business unit, we call it department, so we're going to rewrite that label, that breaks a lot of pages, and then the next time you try to apply changes, you get a whole bunch of collisions, and you have to do the compare merge, and it takes time, and that's what is a huge barrier for consuming changes. Page and Field Configurator is great for existing fields on a page already. The next step is, what about my own page? What about I want an additional field to capture a piece of information so then I can do something with that piece of information. That's what this embedded related content is. So we're creating we plan to create in 857 these drop zones within pages where you can bring in fields and capture the information in those fields and store that then for you to do some custom processing on. So you can see the tie back to event mapping. I want to capture this additional information. In this example, maybe it's bank information, and store it in this table. It's a custom table. It's not an additional row in an existing table because that would be modifying our delivered stuff. It's a new table, and then I'm going to trigger at some other process via event map some custom processing that does something with that bank information, print it on their check or whatever it might be. So this is something that we're working on and plan for Tools 857 as well. Now, another initiative is the selective adoption. So there's a whole slew of changes that I won't get into the details that really revolve around enhancing the PeopleSoft Update Manager tool itself. So the tags, the analytics, the dashboards, the ability to see, what have I done? Where am I? What hasn't been applied? Because the question a lot of customers ask is, how far behind am I? And that would drive activity such as a make me current. So the analytics, they were a little too IT focused. It was a little more, about the actual objects and things along those lines. And so our plans have, are to up level these a little bit to show, these are the number of features that you haven't applied. These are features that are applied, maybe not turned on. And we also see a lot of uptake in PeopleSoft Test Framework. This is another great applications technology component that has really taken off in the last couple of years. It's been out. So this is our free test automation tool. And it does take a little bit of effort to set up and to get it into this state where you can do a lot of test automation. And one of those was the lack of delivered test cases and test scripts. Now, we are delivering some samples, but we're not delivering, soup to nuts, all the test cases, but also the ability to incorporate PS queries into the test case so you can run a query to capture information that feeds into your test case that then gets executed. So, the state of the application you're going to test, what are the account balances, and therefore I want to do a specific test depending on those account balances? Well, I need to query to figure out what those balances are. So that last initiative is PeopleSoft on the Oracle Cloud. This is infrastructure as a service. This is not delivering PeopleSoft as a subscription application software as a service. But it is the same PeopleSoft. This goes back to this guiding principle of applications technology, which is we're using the solution that we have. We're not introducing other technologies, other components that then require you to learn new things or buy new things. It's same PeopleSoft, same solution, same configurability, same business processes, same architecture that you've already deployed as a customer in your data center. You can take that and deploy that onto the Oracle Cloud, Oracle Infrastructure as a Service. The application technology part that is most significant in this area is the solution called Cloud Manager. So I just said it's a new, I'm just going to say, it's a new solution. Oh, Mark, you just said there are no new solutions. This is a new PeopleSoft solution. This is built in Fluid. This is built in PeopleSoft. This is something that we actually, it's an application, so we deliver multiple updates a year. We deliver it into the Oracle Cloud Marketplace because that's the only place it exists and works within Oracle Cloud, Oracle Infrastructure as a Service. And what the Cloud Manager does is enables this administration of your PeopleSoft environment on the Oracle Infrastructure as a Service. So it manages the lift and shift. How do I get my PeopleSoft with its configuration, with its data, etc., from my on-premise environments into these cloud environments? How do I get and subscribe to the updates, the PeopleSoft applications packages, the new update images, the PeopleTools patches? How do I feed that into my templates? And this is what Cloud Manager does. It's how do I create these templates? How do I execute these templates to provision environments? So the self-service provisioning of environments, a cloud-based environment of PeopleSoft, so I can actually look at the latest features and functions delivered in Update Image 27 in the application. How do I test? How do I do training? How do I get these environments without, tribal knowledge, requiring new hardware, running a whole bunch of scripts? It's an automated process. So we take the application packages, so that's, again, the DPKs and how we deploy PeopleSoft. Well, what's the input into those DPKs? From the tool side, from the application side, what's the source? Is it something from your on-premise application? Is it something new from my Oracle support? What's the topology? What are the rules on the architecture, the number of tiers, the size of the tiers, etc.? What's the rules on how it can be used and how it will be dismantled? If it's not used in 7 days, take away the middle tier. That's what defines an environment template, that those are then used to provision, do the self-service provisioning. That's what Cloud Manager does. That's an applications technology deliverable that really revolutionizes the deployment of PeopleSoft to a generic cloud, because deploying it to somebody else's compute cloud service is quite honestly trivial. It's the automation of the processes where the real value, where you're going to become a very agile, dynamic, low-cost development operations. That's what you need to achieve that. That's exactly what Cloud Manager does. That's an applications technology deliverable. So we have a planned roadmap, like I said, multiple times a year. It runs from improved automation, more deployment options. But the reality is the actual compute cloud service that Oracle offers is rapidly changing. There's ExaCloud service, there's Cloud at Customer, there's non-Unicode databases. We need to keep updating our automation processes so that quote-unquote target of what the infrastructure we're deploying to covers all of these different variants that Oracle is delivering, and so our customers can get more and more value out of it. So this is a rapidly changing area. So, wrapping up here, there's a lot happening with PeopleTools. The PeopleTools Roadmap is very robust. These initiatives on the user experience side, on including search and analytics, information delivery, selective adoption, POM, deployment to cloud, customization through configuration. And that is a huge area where we're making these investments. The configuration and automation element is throughout all the things that we're doing, from the user experience side to selective adoption and cloud. So figure out how you can take on these new tools, initiatives, and to bring value to your organization. And there's a lot of information sources out there. You know about the information portal, you know about our social media stuff, and hopefully you know about our YouTube channel where we have a lot of videos out there that talk about these specific features. One question actually just came in, and I want to hit it right now. Is infrastructure as a service the same as managed cloud? No, it is not. Absolutely it is not. Managed cloud, in my mind, means Oracle is deploying your PeopleSoft to our cloud environment and then managing that environment for you, managing those applications, making sure they're up to date, applying update images, applying PeopleTools patches. You deploying your PeopleSoft to our Oracle infrastructure as a service, you as a customer are still required and on the hook for managing your applications. You know, now the cloud manager helps automate a lot of that by pulling in update images, but the actual applying them to your environments, that is something you still need to do. And the good news is you're in control of doing that. So when do you want to get current? You still control that. So it's a really good question. The last thing I'm going to mention here is, this is a continuing series. PeopleSoft Today has been a success so far after the first, episode, so to speak. The next episode, which is planned for June 27th at the same time, which is 10 a.m. Pacific, is going to be about support. I will give you a sneak peek that there are some very interesting and very important things happening with Oracle support policy that is a really good news for PeopleSoft customers. So definitely tune into this one next time. With that said, I'd like to turn it back over to Matt Lee to talk about the license team.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Great information. So on your screen, you'll see a list of key contacts within our Applications Unlimited organization. We are the ones who support your on-premise applications and are solely focused on your success with PeopleSoft. We can help you with licensing quotes, demos, presentations, and help with support issues and any other questions you might have about PeopleSoft. Listed on this slide, you'll see myself and my peers and the verticals and regions we each support. So Mike Fabijanik covers the top 100 accounts, financial services, as well as our eastern region that's not part of any of the other verticals that you see on the slide. Rory Johnson covers our retail, CPG, and our western region. And then I cover our healthcare, higher ed, and life sciences teams, as well as high-tech, comms, media, and entertainment, and our central region that's not covered by any of the other verticals that you'll see on the slide. But really, any of us can help. If you give us a call, we'll get you to the right person. Feel free to reach out to any of us. You can also reach out to Natalie Beanie or the license sales email alias with any questions, and you will get connected with your license rep that can assist you. As Mark mentioned earlier, we'll do Q&A at the end of today's call, but now I'd like to hand it over to Chris Cole, the director in our marketing group for Oracle University, for a brief OU update. For Chris.
Thank you, Matt. I'm Chris Cole, Global Director of Marketing for Oracle University, and I'm also a former Senior Master Instructor with PeopleSoft University. It is my pleasure to help Mark and Matt host this webinar and to talk with you for a few minutes about Oracle University's PeopleSoft training and certification. You will find us on the oracle.com homepage by clicking on the Get Training button. Oracle University has continued to work with Mark and the PeopleSoft development team to invest in courses, certifications, and modern learning platforms to support PeopleSoft customers across the full depth and breadth of their business applications, their tools, as well as the technologies. Now let's look at the newest innovation in training from Oracle University, which is the Oracle Learning Subscriptions. Oracle University has been investing in developing the best modern learning platform really in the software industry. This solution empowers individuals, organizations to take advantage of always available, updated, just-in-time, and structured complete learning solutions for their Oracle products, including PeopleSoft. So from introductions through certifications, the Oracle Learning subscriptions provide the best training available anywhere. I'm pleased to announce on this call that Oracle University has released the PeopleSoft PeopleTools Learning subscription, and we also intend to release the PeopleSoft Applications Learning subscription soon. So now let's look at what is included in the PeopleTools Learning subscription. The new subscription was recently released just in the past week, and it has over 285 videos, 480 skill checks, and 65 hours of content, and it's delivered on Oracle University's most advanced learning platform. This subscription has 5 learning paths tailored to job roles, so you as the user can see at a glance the courses that we recommend for a specific role. Each path suggests a sequence of courses that provide the knowledge and skills you need for your on-the-job experience. In addition, it has an easy-to-follow structure, and it allows you to filter and find courses and modules that you need to learn. Every course in the learning subscription has a hands-on element, the lab, skill checks, as well as downloadable e-kits. It's available 24/7, 365-day. It's on multiple platforms and devices, so you get the learning when you need it and then what device you need it from as well. So coming fast on the heels of the recent PeopleTools Learning subscription, we will also be launching the application side of the learning subscription, and it will have multiple courses for PeopleSoft applications. So now let's review some of the content and the structure, which is unique with our learning subscription. The learning subscription, it's structured around, as you can see on the screen, job roles, learning paths, courses, and content types. And you can search throughout the subscription to find the specific content that you need, like just-in-time learning, or you can also follow the tried-and-true paths to learning PeopleTools. You'll get the depth and breadth you need to not only get started with PeopleTools, if that's where you're at, or particular areas of PeopleTools, all the way through achieving a globally recognized Oracle certification. So I want to briefly talk a little bit about the learning paths. So the learning paths, just as a college provides a path to becoming an expert in a particular field of study, the PeopleTools learning paths contain recommended content and identify the sequence of learning you need to support your job role and also track your progress toward your goals. So every time you're engaging with a course or piece of content, we're tracking that so you can, it's tracked in the system so you can see your progress and you can start again where you left off in the previous session you had. Now let's look at the courses. Now these courses are structured learning, and they're structured learning through video lectures, demonstrations, skills checks. You get essentially the experience from an in-person class, including the e-kits, exercise labs, and as well as asking Oracle University experts and instructors questions. So there's an ability to ask questions through the interface. We provide a fully engaging training experience. We have our expert instructors creating this content who have literally decades of experience teaching PeopleSoft customers in the classroom. This is the most structured part of our learning subscription, and you can't get anything like it anywhere else. Now let's look at the modules in the learning subscriptions, and you can think of these as the micro-level learning. They cover a specific topic, feature, process. They're regularly updated to keep pace with all of the great things that Mark and the PeopleSoft team is developing with the continual release model. So I am putting in the chat window to everyone the URL for the new PeopleSoft PeopleTools Learning subscriptions. You can check it out right now and start to explore and preview it. There is free content available for anyone, as well as with a purchasing a subscription, you get the most economical and efficient way to complete your training in PeopleTools. It's really not much more than taking one individual class, and you get all of PeopleTools. Everything you need to become an expert at PeopleTools. And again, just a reminder that this is only the beginning. We do intend to release soon the PeopleSoft Applications Learning subscription, and we'll have these continually updated along with the product. So for more information, please contact myself, Chris Cole, Scott McGregor, as well as Diana Gray and Eva Chase, and we have our contact information up there. What I'd like to do now, in the last few minutes we have remaining, let's see what questions we've come through the chat. I know, Mark, you've answered a few already. Do you have any other questions you've seen come through the chat?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a bunch coming out there. I'm going to try to hit some of the more appropriate ones. There's an interesting question. Is it confirmed that there's not going to be a 9.3? Well, I definitely would recommend looking at the first PeopleSoft Today, past, present, and future of PeopleSoft, and to kind of fully understand the continuous innovation model that we have for Oracle's PeopleSoft. We've been delivering applications, features, and functions on this current code line for 5+ years now. We've delivered over 1,500 new features and functions. We've delivered over a release worth of features and functions. So we're not planning a new release that customers have to upgrade to and spend a lot of money and disrupt their organizations, i.e. a 9.3, because we're delivering features and functions in an easier to consume, more rapid way. That's the new model of PeopleSoft. In no particular order, another question is activity guides. Are there some delivered guides that can be modified? Absolutely. And actually, an enterprise component within HCM is a activity guide cloner. And it's a tool to basically take an existing activity guide and create a version of your own and be able to then start inserting steps and changing steps, etc. So the answer to that is yes. Is there a listing of analytics delivered by module? I believe out on our PeopleSoft information portal page, we do have a listing of the simplified analytics that we've delivered out of the box for the different product areas. There was a question of how do we get this presentation. I think it was answered that there will be a replay and this content will be available via that. Why can't we have Fluid UI? Wait, I'm trying to read this. Why can't we have all together as Fluid UI instead of Classic Plus? I might read that question of why can't everything be Fluid UI? Quite frankly, we do not have an infinite amount of development team. You know, making something Fluid UI is not just a switch you flip and an automatic conversion. It is an actual redesign that goes into every page to make sure it's properly laid out for multiple form factors. So it does take development work to create that separate page, that separate version of that PIA page, that classic page. So there is no way, unless we got 1,000 times more developers than we already have, and even if that was the case, there are some pages that don't need to be built into Fluid because they're administrative pages that somebody looks at once in a lifetime or once a year, and nobody would ever look at it on a mobile device. And again, so delivering Classic Plus to make sure that look and feel is harmonized and consistent, that was the intent, because we know we're not going to deliver every page. We know not every page needs to be delivered in Fluid UI. There was a question about, the extended support date of December 2027. I would definitely stay tuned for the next PeopleSoft talk where I'm going to address that head on. There was another question about, it was a pretty long-winded question about functional enhancements, making rich functional applications, in particular applications, and I'm interpreting that question as, you listen to these webcasts and you hear about user experience and analytics and Classic Plus and deployment to cloud, and that's all well and good, but where's the real meat and potatoes? Where's the feature function enhancement to Module A, Module B? Those are happening. It's just to spend an hour, we can never scratch the surface on listing those. That's why we have the planned features and enhancements page. That is our published roadmap that goes, module by module, functional area by functional area, that talks about what are we doing in GL, what are we doing in purchasing, what are we doing in absence management, etc. So there are feature function level enhancements happening. That is the bulk of our enhancements. What I've been talking about on the applications technology side is how those manifest themselves. How are we enhancing performance management to take advantage of this user experience and deliver new functionality that we couldn't do before through this new mechanism. So those are happening. It's just we can't do it justice in webcasts like this, and there's plenty of other feature function webcasts that happen through our partners, through our user group community, etc. And that's why you should go to conferences, quite frankly, as well, to kind of hear us stand up and talk about particular modules and what we're doing. The last question I will answer, is PeopleSoft and Oracle Cloud as good as on-premise? No, it's better. The person goes on to say we still have our PS administrator and our developers and business analysts to support them. Yes, you will. But you'll be able to do more with those resources because, some of that staff is not spending time, patching environments and managing operating systems and converting over for hardware refreshes and spending weeks getting a new environment up and running for system testing or conferencing pilot, because deploying to Oracle Cloud and using Cloud Manager will automate a lot of those things and give you the scalability and the agility you need to do more with those resources that you do have. I'm going to answer one last question. Does Elasticsearch require a separate license? No, it doesn't. You get it for free as part of PeopleSoft. There will be no additional costs for you as long as you are using it. Actually, it's an open source product anyway, so you use it within PeopleSoft. You don't have to pay anything more for it. It's part of that. So I want to thank everybody for your time today and for being a PeopleSoft customer and partner.
Awesome. Hey, Mark, thank you so much for answering all those questions and for the great presentation today. With that, we're out of time. Thanks for attending. If you have further questions, I'd consider attending Collaborate next week. A lot of those questions will be answered there. As for this call, we will be providing a replay of the presentation, which will include the contact information that was shared earlier. Have a great day. Thank you for attending.